This is rear subframes for 2007 335i. And the whole goal of the project is to just make the rear subframe more stable and efficient, to make the car handle better, and yet keep the road noise down and the ride good. So the first thing I did was put the solid bushings in. Next thing I did was put the Power Flex purple bushings in the diff and the sway bars. Power Flex offers 3 different firmnesses: yellow soft, black hardest, and the purple's the middle. So I went this route, so I didn't want a rear end differential whine, so I'm going to try that. But for the lower control arms, I went with the black. I didn't want any deflection in the lower control arm. Next is this arm up front. I put a bearing in there. It usually has a bushing like this in there, the rubber, and then I put the bearing on the knuckle side also, so that way it makes it work really free. Then I went with the M3 arms, and the advantage to the M3 arm is it has a bearing in one end. It's aluminum, should be strong enough for the street use. And then normally it has a rubber bushing, and I press the bearings in there, and so it has a taper on one side to go to the knuckle. So I had these washers machined up, and now this bearing has to be offset 3 millimeters to work correctly. So I machined up this cup for the press, and if you'll notice here, it's offset 3 millimeters. So now I take this cup, put it in the press, and I press it, and that way it's nice and consistent. So next thing you need to do is the factory bolt. Some people were having issues with them breaking, and the conclusion was whoever machined the washers up had the wrong taper, so that it wasn't seating correctly in the knuckle and allowing it to flex. So this one gentleman who did have the correct taper, he tried this ARP bolt, which is a chrome moly bolt, and it works perfect. And so no failure. He open tracks his car. So here's the ARP bolts here. And then the next thing is I switched to the M3 aluminum rear control arm. It's aluminum versus stamped steel. The stock 335i uses a stud style shock. M3 has like a Heim joint or a socket style, so it moves more freely. So that bolt there, the stock bolt only has about probably 70% of grip length, and so you get the idea. I'll show you this for an example. So it's about like so. So I sourced out a bolt which is a grade 10.9 metric, same as a grade 8. So that way I get the grip length all the way through. Be a little stronger. Then the bolts that hold these arms on. So the stock bolt, the grip length's only like 50% or so, 50-60%. And so over time, under hard driving, it's just a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It can wobble back and forth like so, and then work the nut loose, and then what can happen, it can tear that mount. It can rip that mount out. If it gets too loose, it'll just tear it. So what I did, I sourced out a bolt that had the right grip length I was looking for, and then I just cut it off to the length I needed. And it goes through, and that way it's all locked in solid. It's just one more of the equation I don't have to worry about. So this thing ought to work pretty darn good and work pretty free, and we'll see how it works in the end. Like I say, the whole goal is to keep it user-friendly, and keep the road noise down. You just